About the author, Archibald Joseph Cronin lived from 1896 to 1981. He was a Scottish novelist, dramatist, renowned storyteller, and physician. Many of his stories have emerged from his medical career and are noted for his narrative skill and deep social conscience. His first novel, Hatter's Castle, was a roaring success. This made him to give up his medical practice and took up writing as a career. Some of his other novels are The Stars Look Down, The Keys of the Kingdom, The Green Years, The Jute Tree, A Song of Sixpence, A Thing of Beauty, and The Citadel. Most of these novels have been converted to films. His writings are marked by realism and are primarily social commentaries. Cronin's narrative skill, his acute observation, and graphic imagery are his major strengths as a writer. This is a poignant story that recounts the tough life chosen by the two young boys, Nicola and Jacopo, 13 and 12 years respectively. The story describes how the two young boys displayed their devotion, sacrifice, sincerity, and maturity in their actions to save the life of their sister Lucia, who suffers from tuberculosis of the spine. War had killed their father and left them homeless. Like true noblemen, the two brothers worked day and night to earn anything they could without resorting to beggary or unfair means. Their sincerity, diligence, and devotion to a noble cause earned them the narrator's respect. The writer has used the title of Shakespeare's play, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, but Cronin's gentlemen are very different from Shakespeare's. Cronin's portrayal of these modern gentlemen of Verona redefines the concept of gentlemanliness. He propounds the idea that one can be poor and shabby and still be a true gentleman with magnanimity and nobleness of purpose. The characters in Shakespeare's Two Gentlemen of Verona were as follows. Proteus was a cruel-minded gentleman and Julia was a spare. Julia disguised herself as Sebastian in the story. Valentine was Proteus' close friend and Sylvia was a spare. The Duke of Milan was the father of Sylvia. Antonio was the father of Proteus. Thurio was a rich man who wished to marry Sylvia. Lucetta was Julia's servant and Speed was Valentine's servant. Sir Eglamour was Sylvia's well-wisher and friend. Pictorial representation of the story. Proteus and Valentine were the best friends and were the two gentlemen of Verona. Valentine went to Milan to seek knowledge. Proteus stayed back as he don't want to part his lady love, Julia. Valentine saw Sylvia, the daughter of the Duke of Milan, and both became lovers and decided to elope. In the meantime, Proteus met Sylvia and fell in love with her. With the support of the Duke, Proteus plotted against Valentine, and the Duke warned Valentine to go away from Milan, and he selected Thurio, a rich man, as a bride for Sylvia. Valentine reached a forest and became the leader of an outlaw. Julia disguised herself as a man called Sebastian and became the friend of Proteus and Sylvia. With the help of Sebastian, Proteus expressed his love to Sylvia, but she refused and escaped from Milan with her well-wisher and friend Sir Eglamour. They were captured by the outlaws and were arrested. The Duke, with the help of Proteus, saved Sylvia. Proteus tried to molest her and was prevented by Valentine. Proteus accepted his folly and apologized and understood his true love with Julia. Finally, Proteus Julia and Valentine Sylvia got married and became the happiest couples in Verona. Shakespeare wrote The Two Gentlemen of Verona between the years 1589 and 1593. That is his early part of life as a writer. And we can consider Proteus and Valentine or Valentine and Sebastian as the two gentlemen of Verona. There is no relationship between Shakespeare's Two Gentlemen of Verona and Cronin's Two Gentlemen of Verona.
Name the first play of Shakespeare in which heroine dresses as a boy. The answer is Two Gentlemen of Verona. It is considered by some as Shakespeare's first comedy play. These are the main characters involved in the play. The setting of the play takes place in Verona and Milan. In order to establish the horizon, the protagonist of the play, Valentine, decides to move from Verona to Milan. Valentine calls his best friend Proteus to come along with him to Milan. But Proteus refuses to go with Valentine as he is in love with Julia. Julia doesn't want to reveal her love on Proteus in front of her servant Lucette. When Lucette brings a letter from Proteus, Julia angrily tears up the letter. After sending Lucette away, she picks up and kisses the letter and tries to piece them back together. Disappointed Valentine moves all alone from Verona to Milan. There he falls in love with Sylvia, a daughter of Duke of Milan. Meanwhile, in Verona, Proteus is ordered by his father Antonio to join with Valentine in Milan. So, Proteus leaves Verona by exchanging rings and vows with Julia. Proteus finds that Valentine is in love with Sylvia when he comes to Milan. Despite being in love with Julia, Proteus falls instantly in love with Sylvia and vows to win her. The Duke of Milan suspects the love between Valentine and Sylvia, so he wants his daughter Sylvia to marry the wealthy man Thurio against her wishes. So, Valentine has now decided to elope with Sylvia, but Proteus informs Duke about the plan of Valentine. Gradually, the Duke of Milan banishes Valentine, and later Valentine joins with the exiled gentlemen, who are called outlaws. They elected him as their leader. Meanwhile, in Verona, Julia decides to join her lover Proteus in Milan. With the help of Lucette, Julia disguises herself as a man in the name of Sebastian to serve as a page boy for Proteus. Julia quickly discovers that Proteus is in love with Sylvia. When Sylvia determines to flee the city to meet Valentine, Proteus attempts to rape her. Suddenly, Valentine appears and stopped the misbehaviorism of Proteus. Proteus feels ashamed of himself and apologizes Valentine. Valentine forgives Proteus and seems to offer Sylvia to him. On hearing this, Sebastian, who is Julia in disguise, faints and revealed her true identity. Upon seeing her, Proteus suddenly remembers his love for Julia and vows fidelity to her once again. The Duke and Thurio are brought as prisoners by the outlaws. Seeing Sylvia, Thurio claims her as his, but Valentine warns Thurio that if he makes one move towards her, he will kill him. Terrified Thurio renounces Sylvia. The Duke, disgusted with Thurio's cowardice and impressed by Valentine's actions. Later, the Duke approved for their marriage. At last, the two gentlemen of Verona, Valentine and Proteus, are happily united with their love.
As we drove through the foothills of the Alps, two small boys stopped us on the outskirts of Verona.
Strawberries. Strawberries. Get them at less price. Please buy our strawberries, sir.
Hey, Luigi. Let us get those strawberries.
Don't buy. You will get fruit much better in Verona. Besides, these boys.
He shrugged his shoulders to convey his disapproval of their shabby appearance. One boy had on a worn-out jersey and cut-off khaki pants, the other a shortened army tunic, three gathered in loose folds about his skinny frame. Yet, gazing at the two little figures, with their brown skins, tangled hair and dark earnest eyes, we felt ourselves strangely attracted. My companion spoke to the boys, discovered that they were brothers. Nicola, the elder, was 13, Jacopo, who barely came up to the door handle of the car, was nearly 12. Next morning, coming out of our hotel, we saw our friends bent over shoeshine boxes beside the fountain in the public square, doing a brisk business. We watched for a few moments, then as trade slackened we went over. They greeted us with friendly faces.
Hello, sir.
I thought you picked fruit for a living.
We do many things, sir. Often we show visitors through the town, to Julia's tomb and other places of interest.
All right. You take us along. They were childish enough. Jacopo was lively as a squirrel. Nicola's smile was steady and engaging. Yet in both boyish faces there was a seriousness which was far beyond their years. They proved extremely useful to us. If we wanted a pack of American cigarettes, or seats for the opera, or the name of a good restaurant, Nicola and Jacopo could be relied upon. One night, we came upon them in the windy and deserted square, resting on the stone pavement beneath the lights. Nicholas sat upright, tired. A bundle of unsold newspapers lay at his feet. Jacopo, his head resting upon his brother's shoulder, was asleep. It was nearly midnight.
Why are you out so late, Nicola? Waiting for the last bus from Padua. We shall sell all our papers when it comes in.
Must you work so hard? You both look rather tired.
We are not complaining, sir.
But next morning, when I went over to the fountain to have my shoes shined, I said, Nicola, the way you and Jacopo work, you must earn quite a bit. You spend nothing on clothes. You eat little enough. When I see you have a meal, it's usually black bread and figure. Tell me, what do you do with your money? You must be saving up to emigrate to America.
We should greatly like to go to the States. But here, at present, we have other plans.
What plans?
Just plans, sir.
Well, we're leaving on Monday. Is there anything I can do for you before we go?
Sir, every Sunday we make a visit to the country, to Poli, 30 kilometers from here. Usually we hire bicycles. But tomorrow, since you are so kind, you might send us in your car.
I had already told Luigi he might have the Sunday off. However, I'll drive you out myself.
We cannot think of troubling you, sir.
It won't be any trouble.
Very well.
I imagined that our destinations would be some humble dwellings. But, directed by Jacopo, we drew up at a large red-roofed villa, surrounded by a high stone wall. Before I could recover breath, my two passengers had leaped from the car.
We shall not be long, sir. Perhaps only an hour. Maybe you'd like to go to the cafe in the village for a drink.
Yeah. You can go. I found a grilled side entrance and, determinedly, rang the bell. A pleasant-looking woman with steel-rimmed spectacles appeared. I blinked as I saw that she was dressed in the white uniform of a trained nurse. I just brought two small boys here.
Ah, yes. Nicola and Jacob. I will take you up. Won't you go in?
No. I will see from here. I cannot bear to intrude upon this happy family party. The two boys were seated at the bedside of a girl of about 20 who, propped up on pillows, wearing a pretty lace jacket, was listening to their chatter, her eyes soft and tender. One could see at a glance her resemblance to her brothers. Please tell me what you know of these boys.
They were quite alone in the world, except for this sister, Zia. Their father, a widower, a well-known singer, had been killed in the early part of the war. Shortly afterward, a bomb had destroyed their home and thrown the three children into the streets. They had suffered horribly from near starvation and exposure to the cold winter. For months they had barely kept themselves alive in a sort of shelter they built with their own hands amidst the rubble. Then for 3 years the Germans ruled the city. The boys grew to hate the Germans. When the war was over, and we had peace at last, they came back to their beloved sister. And they found her suffering from tuberculosis of the spine. They brought her here, persuaded us to take her into the hospital. In the 12 months she has been our patient, she has made good progress. There is every hope that one day she will walk and sing again. Of course, everything is so difficult now, food so scarce. But every week, Z's brothers have made their payment. Whatever it is, I know they do it well.
Yes. They couldn't do it better. I waited outside until the boys rejoined me, then drove them back to the city. They sat beside me, not speaking. For my part, I did not say a word. I knew they would prefer to feel that they had safely kept their secret. Yet their devotion had touched me deeply. Their selfless action brought a new nobility to human life, gave promise of a greater hope for human society.